Hello, truth seekers. Lawrence here, and welcome to Easy Enlightenment. So, talk less, do more. This statement is true in the relative sense as well as in the spiritual sense. Talking less, doing more takes you deeper in the journey, makes you see deeper patterns, deeper connection. Talking less, doing more makes you materialize stuff in your life. You can make things happen for yourself. Your life can be stable, and also you can have a lot of fun from this, following this reference. Talk less, do more. And some of you probably appreciate this idea because you've been, you know, seeing the shift that is occurring in your life, happening in your life. And that's great. Relative freedom, the physical freedom, can happen following this reference with mindfulness. When you are mindful, you start to see the details in the journey, and seeing the details makes you connect the dots. Now, when it comes to spiritual journey, the inner freedom, this saying is equally essential. Talk less, do more. And the spiritual journey is about figuring out the truth of oneself. And to figure out the truth of oneself, actually there's no talking is needed. It's just observing oneself, being aware of oneself, taking the seat of the observer. When you take the seat of the observer, the talking already, is cancelled. And do more in the spiritual journey means subtracting the mind, subtracting all the layers that you are carrying in yourself, which is the mind. Even you are attached in the physical world, the world of experience. That attachment right now is seated in you as an idea, as a belief, as a preference, isn't it? And because of that attachment, we are struggling. The attachment itself is a sign of fear. And the fear is there. And to undo the fear, to undo the layers, to see oneself, subtracting the mind is the path. That is a must. Mind is a source of struggle. To end the struggle, the mind has to be dismantled. So, watching oneself, being aware of oneself, or taking the seat of the observer, being the observer, and observing the mind and tracing the mind backward. And that is, do. Talk less, do more. The doing part of the spiritual journey is subtracting the mind to see the root cause of the suffering, and eliminating the root altogether to see the plain sight truth. Now, notice when we get interested in the spiritual journey, you start with the meditation, you start with the quiet practice. And the quiet practice or meditation provides you the experience. The coloring of the consciousness happens in the meditation. And when you are going through this coloring of the consciousness, or when the mystical experience is happening in you, there's an urge to share with somebody, isn't it? That's what the ego does. Ego wants to move out and and share the credentials, share the experience. And this is happening. Now, I have done it in my life. We all want to share. Now, sharing is good. It keeps the spark in the person. It makes the person interest. Now, to keep the fire on in the spiritual journey, in that sense, sharing and inspiring is good. But this is what the people don't realize, is that what you share is an idea. Your experience that you go through, you're passing it down as an idea. And the truth, the spiritual truth, is not an idea, and it's not an experience. So what you're sharing is not true. And your inward journey towards the truth, or truth itself, is not an experience. So whatever experience you go through, basically it's a distraction. It just stagnates you. Especially the ego loves it. Ego loves all sort of inward experience because ego thrives on the experience. But you must realize that the spiritual journey is about the death of the ego. What you experience, what you want to share, that itself is your ego self coming out to share. You want to talk about that. So the ego is moving out. And the talking doesn't help you and doesn't help others, because if you keep doing certain practice, you will always experience something and you talk, and the other person is also talking. And then that kind of sharing is just fueling each other's ego to ignite further seeking of the similar experience. And the ego is just in a competition to who's going to get the upgraded experience. And this is actually happening in the spiritual world, especially when you are in the community, spiritual community, where there are a group of people sitting down and doing the stuff, and people share. And that is simply ego. That whole thing is an ego's game, and that whole journey is gonna just keep you blind. So don't involve in so much talking in the spiritual journey. It's about doing. It's a mindful doing, and that doing is subtracting the mind. Subtracting the mind to see the root cause of the suffering. So that's the journey. Okay. If you go through the experience, and if you have this urge to share, I invite you to step back from that urge and ask yourself this question: why do I have this urge to share? Why? Sit with it. Because this urge to share is the mental identification. And any mental identification is the ego identification. Unless you have seen the truth and you want to share the subtractive journey, that's a different thing. But if you're not there, then who is trying to share is the ego self. When the truth is missing, who you are is an ego self. The self that is identified with the experience, with the mind. So sit with yourself and ask yourself, why do I have this urge to talk about my experience? Why? What's the reason for this? Now, why do I want to share? Why? If you sit with yourself with this question can really take you in the inward journey. But if you ignore to examine your perception and your action, then the inward journey is quite not there. Sitting in the meditation with technique, sitting quietly, is not an inward journey. It's not the inward journey. Sitting in the meditation and sitting with the technique is still an outward journey. That just, yes, you are moving from the complexity of the mind towards simplicity, and that's it. But to see the truth of who you are, you gotta let go of the simplicity as well. That simplicity is the attachment, the identification. So, sitting in meditation, sitting quietly is 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 better than any practice because it calms you, settles you, it anchors you basically. Your awareness is anchored when you are focused like that. But being anchored is not freedom, true freedom. Why? Because there's a pre existing fear, the conflict. And this all conflict, the fear is coming from the unseen conditioning, the ingrained conditioning, ingrained belief in oneself. And how to see that is the subtractive journey, it's a deconstructive journey of the mind itself. So, sitting quietly doesn't make you free from your fear, doesn't help you to be in that complete peace, doesn't anchor you in that complete sense of ease. Only truth can make you be in peace. Only truth can give you that sense of ease. Only truth can make the mind drop. And you have to see the truth if you want to drop the mind. The spiritual journey, inward journey, is about that, dropping the mind. To drop the mind, you are right now who you are is the mind, and to drop who you are right now, what you identify yourself with, to drop those, you have to see the nature of it. You have to see how that identification becomes the reality for you. Right now, mine is a real for you and the world. Mine is a real. The identification is real. The credential is real. The experience is real. Especially the upgraded experience. And when the experience has sifted your life from the place of having nothing to becoming somebody, having something, that is real. The physical world of experience makes you believe certain things are real. But when it comes to spiritual freedom, the world, the world we perceive through our eyes, is not real. When it comes to spiritual journey, it's not real. You have to disengage from the physical world. You have to disengage from a mental world. You have to disengage from the emotional world. You have to disengage from the psychological world. You have to go way in, further in. Basically, you have to empty yourself to see yourself. Emptiness is your true nature. Consciousness is your true nature. You are consciousness, and the nature of the consciousness is conscious, conscious and empty, empty. So right now, who you are is something. Whatever you are today as somebody, something, is the borrowed from the world, from the experience. You put yourself in the world, you experience something, you like something, and you prolong that liking, and from that you have built up your life. That is something. You have become somebody. But you got to see what you are is borrowed from the world. Yes, you put yourself, but you're borrowing. That borrow is not who you are. Who you are is already exist. And what you borrowed is actually it's appearing on the consciousness. So that means whatever you go through in life is always watched by you. The consciousness is always present, conscious your whole life. The only difference is that you don't see yourself as that. You only identify yourself with the upgrades in your life, and that's who you are. And you are scared to lose who you have become so far. You're scared to lose what you have. The fear is constantly there. So when you have fear, that means you're not in ease. You're not in peace. You haven't seen the truth yet. And the spiritual journey is what seeing the truth. And what makes you see the truth is self-observation and subtracting or deconstructing the mind. And what will help you to get there to the truth, to see the truth, is talk less and do more. Do more aware work of dismantling until you see the truth. And that's the journey. So that's what I'm saying. Talk less, do more is effective in the relative sense and is equally important, essential in the inward journey. An inward journey, basically, you don't need to even talk. It's just about doing until you see the truth. I hope this video makes sense. I hope this is sort of inspiring to align with the path. Anyway, Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care for now. Bye.